Stephanie Haney. Thanks for staying with us. Northeast Ohioans of a certain generation can most likely call to mind a specific image of the Flats, the swath of land that hugs both banks of the Cuyahoga River near downtown Cleveland. Music booming out of clubs like Rum Runners, Fagans, and Shooters. Throngs of people making their way up Old River Road. Boats stretching from the east to the west bank, and maybe even an unlucky passenger falling into the water every now and then. Now, while the Flats was the place to be in the 80s and early 90s, or so I'm told, it became a bit more undesirable of a destination for years. And as things tend to ebb and flow with time, as of late, it's seen a resurgence in popularity over the past several years. Developers, investors, and restaurateurs have opened new or reinvigorated existing dining spots and nightclubs, attracting outside money and brands attached to personalities like country star Chase Rice and Cleveland native rapper and singer Colson Baker, professionally known as MGK. We'll spend the rest of our time together today talking about the landscape of the Flats as part of our series, The Menu, which we produce in partnership with the people at Cleveland Magazine. So with us for the conversation today, we have Ryan Boone. Ryan is the executive chef at Shooters. That's a bar and restaurant on the West Bank. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Also with us, we have Bobby Rudder. He is the Chief Operating Officer with Forward Hospitality Group, which runs several properties on the East Bank of the Flats. That includes Goodnight John Boy, Welcome to the Farm, and I Hate Cowboys. Bobby, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
If you want to be part of the conversation, you can call us at 866-578-0903. You can also email us at soi@ideastream.org, or you can send us a message on Instagram. We're at The Sound of Ideas. We'd love to hear your stories from the Flats, whatever era they come from, if you got them. So call in with those for us. Now, I want to start by getting both of your impression of the Flats. It's had a lot of changes over the decades, as we just kind of covered. So Ryan, starting with you, how does the area resonate with you? Did you spend much time in the Flats before joining Shooters?
I'd popped down a few times in like the most recent years and, love a good divey bar. Carney's down there. A friend of mine lives around. I'd seen it, but it wasn't really somewhere I would think to go for dinner or for a night out. I remember growing up going to Shooters like before an Indians game or after an Indians game or just to celebrate summer. But it was something that when the idea of Shooters kind of came around, it was really exciting to see Globe Iron, our neighbor, coming down there and just like what that neighborhood could kind of become. The East Bank has been somewhere that I frequented a few times, but nice to see the West Bank getting some love. So.
Mm-hmm. And Shooters was recently sort of reimagined, reinvigorated, MGK being a part of that. Remind us, when did it reopen?
We reopened officially on March 18th to the public.
Okay, so that's open now if people want to check that out. Now, Bobby, what about your experiences in the Flats? How have those changed over time?
Well, my generation ruined the Flats. So I'm 45. I was there a lot from like 1998 to 2002-ish when things kind of went haywire a bit. And after that, it was, my former partner who passed away, Scott Wolstein, and his dad did a large parcel by parcel of everything in the East Bank. And then when I and my partner, Michael Schwartz, agreed to come back, it was like kind of circle of life for me. So we were, Fabio Salerno had opened Lago in 2012-13. And then when I opened Forward with Michael and our team in 14, that was that's a long time, the 12, 13, 14 years of development. Mm-hmm. That's a long run. So we, it was like full circle bringing it back. And the first 2 or 3 years was really just, everything was still being built. The apartments were being built. Alley Cat was being built. Shooters was kind of transitioning over at that point. And so, I've seen a big stretch. So I would call like 16 to COVID was like the new era of we had opened a lot of stuff. It was and LeBron came back, RNC was here, Indians were in the World Series, so it was a magical like 5-year stretch where we had just crazy amounts of volume and memories and parties. COVID hit, and that was like a massive reset to that area. Because everybody didn't know what to expect. Post-COVID was the best. It was just an incredible 18 months, 24 months. And now it's sort of finding its level. Scott, like I said, on our side of the water, Dick Jacobs has owned the West Bank for a long time. when Scott Wilstein passed of cancer, he had owned and controlled everything. So it's like one person, one vision. And now what it is it took really 2 or 3 years for multiple property owners to kind of come together and now get a shared vision. I'm the largest tenant down there with whatever we have, 6 places, but it does take the landowners to kind of drive the ultimate vision and development. And now I think we're in a good spot. I mean, with Shooters opening and both sides of the river now being active, Ryan and I were talking outside. This is kind of the first, this past weekend was the first since I've owned anything down there that we've had like big volume back and forth. And I think that would resonate with a lot of people like old days back and forth. And so, this is, I would call this like Flats 4.0, started like last weekend, really. And it'll be interesting to see. I would encourage like all generations to come down because I really think now there's a position for everybody, regardless of kind of what you want to do.
A lot of variety for sure. Some of the properties that you are a part of, as I mentioned, Goodnight John Boy, Welcome to the Farm, I Hate Cowboys, several in that area. You mentioned it as a bit of a homecoming for you. Is that what it was that brought you back to the Flats? Were you looking at any other areas when you were deciding?
No, I was living in Chicago.
Okay.
I had my first daughter, and my wife and I like realized within a week that we were not going to make it as parents in Chicago with a kid, and so we moved back. And when that happened, the developers, Scott, my partner Michael, we just thought, hey, this one nightlife concept could work really well, and it turns out that it was a kind of a catalyst for the rest of what our company's become. And now we're all over the country with, 23, 24 venues.
Now, Ryan, you've worked at some high-ticket places around here before ending up at Shooters, Greenhouse Tavern, Cordelia's, 2 of Cleveland's biggest name restaurants. What was it that brought you to join the team at Shooters?
I think similar to my time with Cordelia, we saw such an iconic address in the Lola space. And we saw that former Lola space being such a huge part of the Cleveland food culture and the food history. When I got the call about the Shooters project, it was almost one of those moments of, well, I didn't know there could be a better address than Lola on East 4th Street or a more iconic Cleveland space that people just kind of love to come visit. And just the thought that we could put some fun and attention into the food program there, which, the last time I dined there, I think I got nachos that left something to be desired. It was really cool, like kind of challenge to be like, how do you revitalize this space, bring a food concept in, have a nightlife concept, and kind of have brunch in the morning, DJs in the afternoon, and late night all kind of wrapped up into one space. And it just seemed like a really fun, unique place to create food.
You mentioned, maybe some of the nachos you could get at Shooters in the past. It was a place for a cheap beer and cheap wings, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're looking for. Yeah. Do you think that people are ready for this sort of like elevated experience that Shooters is offering? What's the response been like so far?
I think we like to call ourselves high-low. You can come in and get a beer and a shot for $10 at Shooters. We have plenty of things on our menu that are kind of more appropriate or approachable price points. And then we give you the option to kind of ball out and get some Osetra caviar to add to your chicken wings or to get octopus and charred eggplant. So we kind of like to give people the option to come in and have your like everyday hangout, have a beer experience. But then also with all the boat stocking, with the big shows to, let you have a little bit of fun and get a big bottle of champagne and something nice to share with the table. So I think we've tried to create something that's a little bit for everybody.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's beautiful inside. The decor is fantastic. And I also did have some of the staples. I was there a couple weeks ago. And I don't eat wings anyway, but I was really happy with what was on the menu. So I'll just say that personally. I do want to ask you, Bobby, about something you just talked about a moment ago about how there's something for everyone in the Flats right now.
Yeah.
So that's my question to you is, because you have a hand in so many different spaces in the Flats, who is the Flats for right now? Is it tourists? Is it young professionals? Is it suburbans? What is it?
Well, I think as we travel around, every city that's really thriving does have like a central entertainment zone. And so I think what the Flats has become is that entertainment zone with an element of work and life, because obviously they have a great apartment building and one of the best office towers. So the product mix currently for people, I think it skews towards a night out because you have a lot of different things. But what I think is cool is, for us, we've built out, a 70s disco and country music and cocktail lounges and rooftops and sports bars where the experiences can be different. So what I like to tell people is I don't think it's age. Listen, late night, it's going to be younger. That's just how things tend to work. But I think at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I think you can really see a wide demo down there of people. And that's what the city wants and needs. The tourism you always want to attract, between East 4th, probably Ohio City, and what the Flats is. I think it's a great way to, if you're in town for a weekend and you were to hit those districts, I think you're going to get a really cool experience and you're going to be pretty impressed with the city, to be quite honest. So I think a lot of different people can come down and experience different things, and you come down multiple times and do different things on multiple visits, right? And there's very few areas, and I think why Clevelanders take a lot of pride in it. We have places in 10 different cities. There's very few places that are as unique as the Flats on the water. It just does not exist in a lot of markets. And so the way that we've been intentional about what goes down there, I think gives people really, pretty cool experiences.
If you're just joining us here on The Sound of Ideas, this is our series, The Menu. We talk about the food scene in Northeast Ohio. We do this in partnership with Cleveland Magazine. If you want to be part of the conversation, the number to call is 866-578-0903. You can also email us at soi@ideastream.org, or you can send us a message on Instagram at The Sound of Ideas. We have a call now from Heather in Westlake. Heather, welcome to The Sound of Ideas. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this program. I just had to share a little insight about the opening of Shooters. I believe it was back in 1985, 86, sometime in that time frame, giving my age away. I worked at the Beach Club right across the river, and I saw the Shooters open, and it was a sea of people over there. And it was very exciting to see. But I laughed because I thought, this is the end of the East Bank. But as it turned out, that opening of Shooters really helped all the restaurants and businesses in that area. And it was very exciting to see that Shooters was a place to be, continued to go down there often, even through everything, all the ups and downs. And I'm very excited to hear about the reopening and come down to see it. And one thing I'm just going to add is we were boaters, and, the Flats were always about boaters and taking your boat down and enjoying that. So I hope the access has improved to boaters on the river in that area. So thank you so much.
I wish everybody had your positive attitude in Cleveland. That's great. And Paul Stancato, who is one of the owners of Beach Club, was a good friend of mine growing up. So those are great stories to hear. I hear a lot of those stories.
Thank you for sharing that, Heather. It was 1987, by the way, when it opened for the first time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Boats, I think I can comment on that because I'm in a lot of meetings with boaters or with the Coast Guard. I think the one thing that is you're going to see starting this weekend, Shooters is back and they have their docks on the East Banks. There's actually a dock program going into place that's run by Argonaut, which is, I never knew this, but Argonaut's a school that trains all the kids who want to basically work all these huge ships that are going by. And so Argonaut, as part of a nonprofit, is going to staff and be the dock hands on the east side of the river, which will allow for kind of a more organized boating experience because Shooters can handle it because it's their venue. The East Bank, there's lots of venues. So now, literally starting this weekend, it's been 19 months of legislation and everything else to get this passed. So I'm excited for those kids and for boaters. It's a huge part of what we're doing is the boating experience.
Something that Heather mentioned there was the fact that Shooters, she was working at the Beach Club, thought it would be a competitor, really was a rising tide raises all ships. How is Shooters viewing its role in the neighborhood now in the Flats?
Yeah, I think it's something I've discussed with some of our neighbors, our friends at Globe Iron, some of just the bars around like the West Bank. There was, I think, a little bit of worry like, oh, Shooters is opening. Is that going to take away from us? And I think, unfortunately, that tends to be a very Cleveland mindset thing.
Totally.
We like to look at it as when we eat, everybody eats. The better we do, the better they do. When they're jumping, you can come across the river and see us. We want to see not just our venue alive and well, but I think when one venue is doing well and there's more options in that area that you can get to. I know they have the water taxi this year that'll be able to take you from the West Bank to the East Bank. It's good for Cleveland as a whole. The more that there is for people to draw and come and do, and to not just go to one place and then leave the neighborhood, but be able to bop around. That's our goal, and to be neighborly and to be able to, be part of the resurgence of not just our building, but that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. We have a call now from Patrick in Lakewood. Patrick, welcome to the Sound of Ideas. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, thanks. This is a really great idea, and you mentioned the Stancatas, brings back memories from the 70s. I mean, I'm very old, so I went to school with these
Great
guys.
family. Great
And
family.
The one thing that I want to urge you is always, having been down there since every single restaurant that has ever opened, from, the expensive ones up on West 10th to the Shooters, please, there seems to be this attitude that if we're on the water, we don't have to serve anything good. People will just come because it's on the water. And some of those restaurants, it was comparable to dog food. It was terrible. And so I really hope that when you guys open any of these new places, especially Shooters, and somebody talked about low quality nachos, that's why we hadn't gone down there for years, is because the venue's great, the views are great, but the food was terrible. So please, please, please focus on quality food.
Thank you for sharing that thought, Patrick. Ryan, I'll let you take this one as the chef on the scene here. You want to tell us a little bit about the menu that's happening at Shooters right now?
Yeah, so when I joined the project, I got to see some renderings of the space, and I thought, wow, this looks great. And like you said, we're on the water. You could probably sell just darn near anything here, and people would just love to come be here. I come from an elevated restaurant background. I wouldn't go as far as to say fine dining, but we like to celebrate local. We like to celebrate people in our town who make really great things, from our butchers to our bakers to our hot sauce makers, locally made spice blends from Chutney Punch. For us, it was as important to put attention into the food and beverage programs as it was the space and the address. And that really is what drew me into this project, was coming from these nice restaurants and seeing that a place that very easily could have just picked up Sysco frozen chicken fingers, threw them in a fryer, and had a line down the street still just to be able to hang out on the water, that they were taking the road less traveled and kind of doing an intentional, thoughtful, locally sourced food program and high-end cocktail program. I thought was really fun. So I think for us, that piece is as important as, the address or the waterfront, and we like to put our focus into the food and beverage as much as the views. So I hear you.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about something that's periodically come up around late night activity in the flats, and this is safety concerns. So I'd like to hear, start with you, Bobby, what you all are doing to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah, so it's, unfortunately, things happen all over the place, but an entertainment district and really downtown as a whole in all cities are as vibrant as they are safe. You don't have safety, you don't have anything. There's nothing you can do to bring people down. It doesn't matter how good Ryan's food are. If it's not safe, it's not good. Starting in September, the mayor had weekly meetings that he, put on the calendar and organized with with myself and then the stakeholders in the city. So fire, safety, beautification, police, DCI. So we've met weekly since September to plan for now. And so a lot of energy and attention has been put towards that. And I would say there's four things that really are impactful. Number one, we've been provided, the detail and the officers that we've needed. And then the business owners have supplemented that with the Cleveland Watchman, which is a private security company made up of mostly off duties. So every Friday and Saturday night, we have Cleveland Police, and then we have off duty just roaming the area. Number two is the lighting. areas need light. And so there's a whole new lighting package going into the East Bank of the Flats that'll be really great. And number 3 has been traffic flow. So when you don't have great traffic flow, just things happen. People get angry, bad stuff goes down. So we now have dedicated Uber pickup locations, which means Ubers don't clog roads. We have a whole new traffic pattern for people to get down and to park mobiles down there. All the roads are repaired. They're all relit. So it's been those things. And then it's just, the business owners and landowners working together to ensure that everything is safe. And listen, I think it'll always be over the course of time, whether it's on Ryan's side, it's on my side. We have to put energy and effort. Dan Gilbert would tell you the same thing around the stadiums and around on East 4th. You have to put energy and effort as a city to create safe spaces for people to come to, period. If it doesn't happen, everything will be short-lived.
Well, what we close out the menu with every week is, what are you eating this weekend? So we got about
nice.
30 seconds left. So what are you eating? Where are you going? Brian, I'll ask you first.
We were just talking about Rude Food and Pie in Lakewood. It's been on my radar. They got some new fun stuff, so that'll definitely be this weekend state night with the girlfriend.
Nice.
All right. How about you, Bobby?
I think Doug Katz at Amba and at Kiln is doing great stuff. I think Doug's been a real pioneer of great vibe and energy and food. So I go check out his places too. I'm not going to be there because I'm going to Columbus for volleyball for my kids, but I would go there. I go there quite
If
often.
you were in town, so
If
maybe
I was
next
in town.
weekend.
If I was in town.
All right.
Thanks,
Bobby
Stephanie.
Rudder, COO of Florida Hospitality Group. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
And Ryan Boone, Executive Chef at Shooters. Thanks for the time.
Salute.